Hey everybody, and welcome to my N5 series on the SP404 mk2, where I cover a topic in about 5 minutes. This is session 42.2, and let's go back to these samples we've got, and we're going to do some cleanup here. So the first thing is, I feel like this first track that we recorded over, that's the drums, is probably the best loop that we've got. So one thing we can do is we can hold shift and push down on the value knob. This is going to bring up our length, which is the total length of the sample that we've recorded. Start is where it's starting from in the sample start. The loop is where it's going to be looping from, and end is where the sample will stop playing. So if we do some simple math here, we've got 329 and we've got 320,329, which is telling us that for a 4-bar loop at 72 BPM, we are 320,000 samples even. So that's good to know because it allows us to do some fun things like on our bass here, which we'll get to in a minute, but I'm going to stop here and let's get to this one that's definitely not right. So we need to get the start up closer to the beginning. Let's zoom in. We'll tighten it right up. So wherever the start is here, we want the end to be 320,000 more. So again, let's hold shift, go insert. Now we don't have a loop point, so we want loop to actually match the loop to match. So we want this to be 77290. You hit 10 to get the 0. So this is going to get us our loop point and start point to match. If I did that correctly. Okay, I did. And then to calculate the endpoint and have that be correct, we want it to be 320,000 plus 77,290. So that's going to be simple math, 320,000 plus 77. So it's going to be 397,290. So if this is correct, what we should be able to do is with loop on, we'll turn gate off, just listen. I mean, there's like a tiny clip there or something, but this is where I would probably use envelope mode to fix it or just ignore it. But we've got those two sustained notes. They're looping correctly now. Now, the other fun one that we have here is the bass, and it is not playing on the right beat. So we don't have any empty time on the end, which is a little bit of a problem, and we have some on the start. I think this is going to, for me personally, just to do this as quick as possible, I would probably just use resampling. So I'm going to go resample pad 6, and we just need to make sure we let this play 2 times effectively. So what's going to happen is we're going to then create that empty gap where we can then come in and record or create the start point from there. So I'll just hit record just to finish. We don't need to play this anymore. So this is going to sound exactly the same, but if you look here, we now have that middle gap here where it's like right around here, where we just weren't, basically we weren't playing that first note. And we may end up adjusting the start and end point a little bit, but what we can then do is dig in around here and let's just see how close we are. Shift and insert. We do want to turn loop on. So you can see the loop is the wrong spot. Go to loop. We will set this. We want the loop to be the same as the start point. So again, like you can use the knob to adjust it to where you want, but we'll just type it in 2, 9, 6, 7, 5, 7. And we probably need to figure out how to actually just get it to accept that. And then we want to do a, what's that, plus 320,000 is 61, 6, 1, 6, 7, 5, 7. So we may be good. So we've got a start and end in a loop, and if we just take, if we turn gate off, just see if it sounds okay. Maybe not quite right, I don't know. But this one should not be. Just resampling, I decided it wanted to be 90 BPM. We'll need to fix this. So let's get into pitch and speed and manual. We know that this should be 72 ppm. And I suspect that the reason why I picked it was because bank H is probably set to, if I hold shift, tap tempo, yep, bank H is set to 90 BPM. So we want that to be also 72. So if we do resample, we'll have the right things. So let's just see if this sounds correct or not. Sounds a little late to me. So that, I mean, I could do some things where I use USB and MIDI to get the start and stop, but we're just going to try and do this by hand and by ear. So let us get back into this one. So let's assume that the end, or the start point, I mean, needs to move over. And we'll just jack the loop over now. Shift menu. This time, again, we're going to add 320,000. So it's 325,055. So we're just adding, or sorry, should be 625. And should be 625,055. So we got the loop endpoint is now the correct amount over. Let's just see if this sounds better. Ugh. Let's do that again. Now it sounds early. So, I mean, if we're trying to do this by ear, this is kind of the problem that you're going to get, is you just got to kind of keep tweaking it until you get it just right. I'll go back. I don't know, that might be like 1/8 of a note. Let's hear this for reference again. Of course, I'm on the wrong one. Shift 1 and 2, turn 4 off. Boom, boom. Okay. I still think maybe it's a tiny bit earlier. That sounds much closer. All right. So I'm sorry that this video is going so long, but this stuff can be important to get correct. So again, we're just going to add 320,000. So we're at 621,600. So if we exit out, let's just listen. It still sounds a tiny bit off, but I'm not worried about it as much. All right, I'm going to live with it. Let's do the one last thing, which will be a copy 6 onto 2. And then we'll just delete 6. We don't need it anymore. Anyway, guys, I'm going to end the video here. I know it's been a long one, but this is kind of, you know, if you're looking for tying things up, just figuring out the math on it can really help you enter in whatever values you want specifically, and make sure that everything will stay in time. Anyway, guys, keep making music. If it sounds good, it is good, and peace.